All right, everyone, welcome back to the best podcast pitching booking company you will ever come across. Just kidding. Well, maybe not. I'm excited to introduce you to the one and only Madeleine Wyke Silva. When you hear what she has to share with you today, you'll understand why I've invited her onto the show and why she is our only preferred vendor for helping thought leaders and experts and any savvy CEO scale to their next level. So I can tell you all kinds of things about Madeleine, but this is what she does with her eyes closed. She helps six-figure companies scale to seven to eight, and so on and so on. She built and sold a company for a lot of money. So she knows a lot about a lot of things related to business. And for those of us that are experts and thought leaders, we can have some misinformation in the industry around what it really means to do that. We really need to get a handle of, well, what does it mean? Like, what would it actually look like if I brought someone into my company to have a done with you or done for you service to help me bring my costs down, to help me increase my profit margins, to help me to really, truly scale? What does that look like? And as we chat, you'll hear why Madeleine is our go-to preferred partner. She's the only person that we're going to be referring business to on this level because I trust her implicitly. It'll become obvious that Madeleine and I are quite close, and so I adore her anyways. Naturally, I'm going to tell everyone about her, but she really is the cream of the crop. So did I make you blush? And how are you feeling?
You totally did. Oh my God. Thank you so much. What an introduction. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. And I guess too, what I'll say, I'm going to just love you up. You attract a lot of people in your peer group, and I tend to do that as well, right? So I think someone just wants to be a colleague or a friend, and I'm happy to have that. And then next thing I know, someone's knocking on my door saying, can I work with you? And that only happens in peer circles when we're giving off a vibe of mastery, when we're giving off a vibe of, I'm going to hold you in confidence. I want you to win. I'm committed to getting you results. I'm all in. And people get that vibe from you. I know that recently you just joined a new space and someone's already, booked a VIP day with you, and you're thinking, where did this person come from? And it was meant to be more of like a peer collaboration circle. And yet people are knocking on your door because I think there just is a vibe when people know they can trust us with whatever the thing is that they want support with. And because you have a degree of mastery, I just think that when we truly have done the thing that we're selling to people, it really just kind of oozes out of our pores. And I think part of why we get hesitant around hiring certain people, especially with the type of stuff that you offer, is when there is some incongruence between people saying, there's a lot of coaches out there that are like, I can help you scale, but they really don't understand what scaling means. So do you mind if we pop in there? Because people can read your story and they're going to go to your site and we're going to tell you why you should go to Madeleine's site in a little bit. But let's maybe start with, what is the difference between leveraging your company and scaling your company?
Yeah, it's huge. It's actually huge, right? And so this has been a little bit of a challenge because scaling has now become one of those words that people use for almost anything business related. And so it's really been watered down. And I think most people have no idea what even scaling is, other than they're kind of just synonymous with growing your business. Mm-hmm. So just to start off with that, you don't scale your business to 5 or 6 figures, you grow it. And it's completely a different model. Growing just means adding more clients, more sales, more revenue to the bottom line. Number one. And you can grow fast without doing any scaling, especially in the 5 and 6 figure range, because you're just growing rapidly. Okay, that's not scaling. Growing rapidly, it's not scaling. Adding more clients, making more sales, that in and of itself does not equate to you actually scaling your business. That's just standard growth. Automated funnels fueled by paid ads and are not scaling. It's automation. Okay, so we hear this, I'm going to scale your business, but with building this amazing funnel for you. No, that is not scaling. That's an automated tactic that may or may not work for you. Okay, who knows if that tactic is going to work for you? As a matter of fact, I don't ever look at what tactics to be implemented in your business until we know where we want to end up. because who you actually are and what you're looking to create in your business. Then once we have the strategy in place for that, we can look at what tactics is going to get you there the fastest. But it's not what we're looking for when we're looking to scale. Also, going from one-on-one coaching to developing group programs where you see more people with less of your own time is not scaling. That is leveraging. That's simply just offering your services in a different format, not scaling, right? Upping your marketing to rapidly grow your business is not scaling. So if you all of a sudden add in PR companies and you upping your branding and you really fueling, your ad spend on Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you do it all at once, that is not scaling. That is simply infusing more money into your marketing budget. Okay, so you may by now wondering, what in the world is scaling? Right? Because this is probably what you've been told wherever you've been out in the world. I'm talking to those listening, right? When you've been out in the world, because this is what people use the word scaling, and that's what they're looking to describe those things. And scaling is something completely different. And scaling is only really relevant once a business has grown to the point that only slow incremental growth is possible, right? Because the business model itself and the structure of how the business is run can no longer support rapid growth or hardly any growth at all. Mm-hmm. And these are the times where you will grow, like maybe you do a launch and you have an influx of business coming into your business and you have a growth spurt. But then slowly you will actually drop clients off still. And maybe old people will leave, the new people will come in, and somehow, a few weeks, maybe even a few months later, you kind of back to status quo. Your business will automatically level out at a certain point because your business is now running at capacity and it can't grow anymore. Scaling is the way that we step into a business, we identify what those capacity blocks are that makes growing impossible, and we eliminate them for you. Mm-hmm. And that's scaling.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. The reason I was clapping, for those of you that, if you couldn't see me, I was clapping and I was thought I was going to jump out of my skin because you're literally in my head saying all these things, because I see so many people that have had a business for 2 years and all of a sudden they decide they want to become a business coach and they're telling everyone how to scale, and it's really just a tactic. And there's marketing strategy and then there's marketing tactic, there's growth, and there's all the things you talked about. And I also want to point out too, yes, we're talking about the service-based industry. You have worked a lot with storefront businesses and more, I'll say, medical practices or holistic practices where there's a front desk staff and there's maybe insurance billing and, the complexity of those things. So you know how to scale that type of business model. You also know how to, we're talking about service-based businesses, but you also know how to scale product-based companies as well, right? So we're just talking more about service-based industry right now because that's likely what the majority of people are focusing on. So I've grown, I've had this rapid growth. All of a sudden I'm aware of the value of my time. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm aware that I maybe need to hire some other team members or something. I probably actually don't even know what I need actually when I've had rapid growth, right? Because I'm actually going to be overwhelmed. I'm going to be happy that I have rapid growth because this is the thing I've been praying for. And at the same time, I'm overwhelmed and I'm in this place and I don't even know what I need. So there's options, and there's always someone going to be selling to me. I'm going to scroll on Facebook and there's going to be all these things, right, that are telling me what I need, what I don't need. This coach sucks. You should hire, I'm going to see all the things, right? And I can invest money doing those things. I can invest money to hire a Facebook ads strategist. I can, as you know, invest in all kinds of things. But what will be the symptoms that I'll be experiencing where I know, oh, it's time to start getting serious about scaling the company instead of constantly throwing money at a problem and maybe growing laterally, but thinking that I'm growing upwards? What kind of things am I going to notice?
Yeah, I call this the hustle growth model. And a lot of CEOs end up getting stuck there. And it's really the cause of most of the burnout that we see in CEOs in general across the board. And what it looks like is you're out there marketing your business. Maybe you invested in a new tactic. Maybe you saw that great shiny ad on your social media and you clicked on it and you partnered with somebody who was going to help you grow your business in a certain way. And you're excited, right? So you invest in your time and energy, you're building that out and it's starting to pop and people are showing up and all of a sudden you now have an influx of new clients. And as you have this influx of new clients, your system starts kind of getting clunky, things are dropping to the ground. You're not able to keep all the plates spinning in the air. You're not able to spend as much time on the marketing anymore. And your team is feeling maxed out and a little bit grumpy, and they're not handling things as well. Maybe they're unable to solve challenges on their own. They're constantly starting pulling you back into the business day to day to help them fix things. There's things that you thought was fine starting to break. So now you're realizing you're kind of in there now in the business day to day to make sure everything is running right. And so you go from being like out front, leading, marketing the business, to being pulled in to be in the weeds of the business, doing the day to day, because of the capacity and the new client, the business can't run it. It doesn't operate that way. And so then sales slow down. Now cash flow becomes kind of a crisis and you have struggling to cover expenses. And now you are chasing after that next shiny ad on social media to find the next thing that's going to infuse you with the next cycle of leads that's going to kind of create the same cycle. And that's what I call the hustle growth model that a lot of CEOs find themselves in, and just kind of getting stuck in that. And also oftentimes feeling like, your team doesn't know how to solve problems on their own. They don't consistently deliver quality work. You feel like you having to get in there and solve things. Maybe you feel that if you take time off from your business, you go away on vacation, you still plugged in both on your email and your phone, and you're there constantly. And there's always a couple of things broken when you come back that you have to fix. It feels like you're losing money and momentum in your business when you step away because you were the only one who are driving the growth in your business. All of these things are really just you bumping into the capacity blocks of an outdated business model that doesn't have the capacity to now grow past the point of where you're at.
Mm-hmm. I will say too, as someone that has been around the block quite a few times, that I'm a visionary. I think most of us that are going to be thought leaders and experts and so on tend to be more of the visionary than the integrator, let's put it that way. Like my COO is freaking amazing in my overall, like all my companies. And she's a true integrator. We actually did a human design, by the way, and we make the perfect human. She literally complements all the things that I suck at. And I love sucking at things because I actually would rather delegate it, because the visionary in me, as soon as you bring my head down into micromanaging, like you were talking about, and being in the weeds and solving like who's got a hangnail and what are we going to do about it, and all of those really important but minute details that actually hurt my brain. My brain wants to always be orbiting up in vision and strategy. When you're bringing me down into, these small decisions and treating it like it's 911 and they need an answer right away, which nobody on my team does. It's going to irritate me in a way. But I think a lot of people are visionaries. If we're a thought leader, we're likely a visionary. And so we're already not wired to do anything but bring people in that can help us scale, right? We will bottleneck in it. And then on top of that, especially if the messaging is so centered around us and it can only be delivered by us and stuff, like one of the biggest, I wish I had known you years ago, because I totally bottlenecked in my business. And all I knew is that I was frustrated, or that I never felt like I had enough time, or I always felt like I was having to expend more energy focusing on projects that required way too much detail from me. I think we can all focus on detail for sure, but it's about how much energy am I spending trying to complete the task, because it's not a natural sort of ability, I guess we'll call it, right? So that being said, I know maybe it would be helpful too if we went over some examples of what it looks like when a client has come into you, what what they were, some recent examples, right, of people where they finally knocked on your door and surrendered and said, okay, I can no longer do this hustle culture and all of these various things. I'm not a bro marketer. I can't keep up with the pace of how many tactics are constantly changing in the industry and keeping up with that. I need to create sustainable growth and scaling and so on, because I might want to take it public, or I might want to sell it, or I might want to create a succession plan of who's going to take over for me. And so when they've knocked on your door, what did they come in experiencing? And then how did you help them move through that?
Yeah. So one of my current clients, a multi 7-figure business, and they've been in business for 14 years. And I've been in multi 7 figures for most of that time, like grew super rapidly, being one of the leaders in the industry and fantastic at what they do. And they really showed up at my door because they had like 85% of their team resigned over a very short period of time. And so that is huge, massive turnover. And they were working their booties off and doing things like you were talking about that they haven't been doing for decades, and wasn't really sure, how to go from where they are now to where they wanted to go. And they knocked on my doorstep and my door, and we chatted. And really what we are doing for them right now is, I call this like we put their business on stilts. This is what we do with our clients. We put their business on stilts so that they can start focusing on the growth of the business again, focusing on the visionary tasks that they know that their zone of genius is all about, and they can start leading their team in that direction. And then me and my team, we have project managers, we have an installation team that literally steps in and kind of builds the foundation as the house is on stilts. So they're still living in it, they're still doing their thing, but we are building the foundational pieces. So that means that we've been running and replacing a lot of the people that left, and also replacing some of the people that had left since we arrived, with very strategic way of growing their team. And so we have been growing their team for them. We also assisting them a lot in building out the training protocols for those new hires. So training becomes quite easy and getting them up to speed. My team is actually stepping in and training them on a lot of them. And in the process of doing that, we also have installed project managers that actually helps them, as there might be missing team members on their team, that steps in and do a lot of the heavy lifting of the day-to-day for their business, while the installation team also have building out all of the infrastructure and the operational systems. So I know for you visionaries, this doesn't sound like very sexy. And I get it, it's not very sexy, but what this does for your business is pure magic. Because if you want a business that runs on its own, you want a self-managing team, you want to be able to step away from your business and take time off, this is where it actually happens. And so, for example, I just spent 3.5 months gallivanting around Europe, and had a couple of family emergencies while I was there, and had to I actually had to cancel 10 days of work, which I have never done in the 30 plus years I've been in business. And my team just kept running the projects for my clients, kept developing the strategy that we were working on, and supported me both emotionally and by keeping the business running and growing. And I came back and we signed up 3 new clients the first day back, and that enrolled in our programs. And it's because we have the systems and the team spirit and all of these components that makes running the business quite easy. So for these clients that stepped in, we actually help them now cut their overhead $30,000 to $40,000 every single month. So freeing up quite a lot of money for them and giving them a lot of wiggle room and opening them up to a lot more choices. Would also have helped them to do a really leap. So there's something that I've been wanting to do for years, but they just haven't had the bandwidth to actually implement in their business. That's going to be a complete game changer. And I'm going to be purposefully vague because nobody else in the industry is doing this quite like what they are doing. And it's actually going to transform their business and reposition them completely in the market space. And so we, for once, have actually started that project, very successfully hired people who can help implement that project for them. And it's on the roll already. And built out all the infrastructure, the project management tools, everything to make this easy, built out the team so it's actually working like clockwork. And that is what we do for our clients over and over and over again. And yeah, so that they really
See, I think it does sound sexy, which maybe that makes me a weirdo too. But I can think of all the times that I didn't grow in my business. It was because my team didn't have the capacity, meaning they could only get me to a certain level. They just didn't have either the desire to go and sharpen their saw, or they just really vibrationally, I guess we could put it, just didn't have it in them. They could only get so far. And then for me, I would keep team members because I'd be like, oh, every time I hire, it slows down the growth of my business. And I am like a cheetah, right? And you know me, like I move quickly, I make things happen quickly. And I'd be like, oh, this is going to slow the cheetah down. Do I really, is it worth it? So I'd be in this limbo of like, okay, I need to bring in some next team members. I need to move this person out because they're just not performing at a level that is a contribution to the company. And I need to bring in new team members. But point is, if I knew someone was still holding my business on stilts and I could still just keep showing up as though nothing had really happened, right? And having someone manage all that stuff, that as a visionary, I just have zero desire to handle, especially like these folks you're mentioning, when you're used to having those things delegated year after year, and then you have to reabsorb it. You'll do it because it's your company and you love your company enough to do it, but still it's it almost feels like you're going backwards when you're taking on stuff that you delegated years ago that you're so disconnected from, right? So if I knew someone was putting my business on stilts, and yeah, it's going to feel a little bit under construction, but I can still use the bathroom. I can still, cook in my kitchen. I can still do these things, right? I'm going to be aware that I'm on stilts, but I'm also feeling held and supported and whatever. And knowing that someone's taking care of all of that for me, interviewing and building out the operations and coming up with, because I know, one of the things we're not even talking about, the fact is that you're just very innovative, right? So you would have already seen in them, oh, well, part of why you're bottlenecked is because you actually really, if you rise above all the noise and become the only option in the industry and the innovator in the industry, and we position you as number one and the go-to person for this, then so much of your client attraction is going to be based on your reputation and what you're creating and filling a gap, right? Versus so I know your also point is looking for opportunities even while you're doing that. So to be able to pick your brain and be in your big thinking space, right? Which allows us to think bigger and to bring in the operations like that, that's a rare find. And that's part of why, aside from the fact that you're high integrity and you actually know your stuff and all the things, right? Mm-hmm. Is that you actually know how to navigate all that. Like, I don't know that people really get the value of what it means to come in and be able to have your eyes on their business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is definitely part of it, right? You have that too. I think when you step into people's businesses, that sense that you've been in business for a long time. I've been in business, doing this for 30 plus years now. Mm-hmm. And there's a different way that I can look at a business. So the very first thing we do is the deep dive assessment. And we do an assessment of people's businesses to get an idea of where the bottlenecks are, where the capacity blocks are lurking, but also looking at what is working really well, because most multi-6 and multi-7 figure business have a lot of things going for them. And sometimes they get overlooked. The opportunities get overlooked because of all the muckety-muck that's in the way and the capacity mm-hmm. blocks that are in the way. And I think, this is why we all need support in our businesses. We need somebody else looking over shoulders. It's so important to have that level of support and somebody who can borrow us a different perspective and a different lens so that we don't get stuck in these holes. Mm-hmm. This black hole of where we're trying to climb out of, and we don't really know how to get out of at some point, because we're doing the same thing over and over again, starting to feel a little bit like Groundhound Day sitting there. So, I think that those are the things that we really look at. And, I remember that meeting with that client, and they had a whole list of the things that they were thinking were really important things that I needed to do right away in their business, and a long list of it. And And I very quickly was able to just look at that list, figure out what needed to be sorted. And I said, and we have to do this thing. This has to get done. We have to prioritize. This is number one. And then I said, and then me and my team will take care of these things that are niceties, like they are good things for the structure of the business. They would eliminate some capacity loss. We streamline some things. We need that done, but this is priority. And which just shifted their whole focus and purpose. And, you know, they many times later told me, you know, I don't think we would ever had implemented this if it wasn't for you and your team supporting us along the way.
Mm-hmm. And when I was kind of chuckling before, it wasn't at the situation. It was more when you said that once you came in, some more team members left. And I chuckled more about that because I know I see it time and time again. I'm sure you see it too, right? So the current team members, when they're not performing, they tend to get a little bent out of shape when not because anyone's trying to, but their competency and or incompetency is just going to be illuminated very quickly. Because, so I know that at times when we bring in people to help us scale, that certain team members, if they're lacking in emotional maturity and professional acumen, kind of take their toys and go. And that's actually such a gift, right, to the CEOs.
Yeah. And, you know, I really would love, this does happen. And it's not like, and I really want to shed some light on this because I think this is a misconception that a lot of people are not aware of what happens and why this happens. And I always talk, you know, there's brains and there's hands, and we need both on our team. And the truth is we don't need that many brains. We think we need a lot of brains because we don't want to get pulled into the weeds. And sometimes when we don't have SOP, standard operational procedures, and we don't have clearly mapped out procedures and workflows for our team members, we start getting annoyed because they can't solve the problems on their own and they keep getting stuck, or they're not being proactive, or they're not actually getting important stuff done, or important stuff gets lost, or mistakes are made. And it usually means that we haven't properly documented and actually explained what success looks like for them. And so when that is lacking, what we end up doing as CEOs, we're trying to compensate for that, not realizing that's the issue, is that we start hiring brains to do hands tasks, right? And brains are people who think strategically, make good decisions, are pretty high level functioning people. Now they can do the hands tasks. Hands are more like the repetitive day-to-day needs to get done grunt work, right? The brains can actually do the hands work, but it will, just like what you were saying, as CEOs, we get kind of grumpy when we have to do that a lot. And when there's a lot of chaos in the business and you're constantly getting pulled in to this lower level work and having to do grunt work, when really, you know, you're capable of doing so much more as a team member, and you're not actually being empowered to be in that leadership role, that is actually why most of them leave. You know, a lot of times. And then the hands, a lot of times we think, oh, it's better to be a brain than a hands. There's really no hierarchy here. This is not good or bad people in any way or form, whoever is in the roles, because hands are like people who actually love doing repetitive tasks over and over and over again, and like gets total satisfaction from getting things done right, are amazing for your business. We all want them. I love them. So this whole expectation too, that hands should think like a visionary or should get really plugged into the vision. Sometimes you totally burn out and overwhelm your hands by your visionary talk. You can obviously want to enroll them in your vision and your mission in the bigger picture, but you don't want to brainstorm with them. They're going to get lost in the brainstorm. They want to get clear directive. They want to know what to do. They want to feel secure in executing on the task that they're doing for you. And when that gets really muddy, they will lose motivation and sometimes underperform. So knowing these things and knowing how to work with a team is super important. But this is actually the most reasons why people leave. And so when we come in, there's a little bit of that change energy, and it feels like a relief and also an opportunity to escape something that probably has been going on for years.
I'm so glad you differentiated that. And I, like you're talking about, I had to learn years ago to have someone else manage my team. I'm not a manager. I'm a CEO. I don't manage people. I don't manage expectations. I don't manage, projections. I just don't manage. It drains my energy to manage anything. I can, but I'd rather not. And it's my job to be the CEO, be the face of the company, hold the vision, create the strategy or co-create the strategy depending, and be the face of the company and be doing, things like we're doing right now. And I do appreciate the hands. I'm actually so grateful for the hands in my company because the thought of doing like that stuff that lights them up. Like my mom, for example, is the type that actually writes on a ruler. She is so meticulous about how she wants her handwriting. Like I get that's a little OCD, but she loves this kind of stuff and the fiddly bits and the organizing, and she likes planning the parties and going and running, blowing up the balloons and whatever. And I'm like, fill your boots. I'll just send you money towards this party, but I don't include me in this stuff, right? It's not because I'm better than it. It's just you don't want me in the way. But I do want to, there's so much we can talk about, but it occurs to me in the limited time that we have left that we did talk about the massive gift it would be to have your eyes on someone's business, because you and I both kind of take pride in the fact that we have purposely cross-pollinated with all kinds of businesses so that we can learn all kinds of business models and we can learn kind of best practices. And we both created businesses outside of social media because it didn't even exist. So we're not tainted by tactics and misidentifying them as strategy. We have timeless business principles and strategies that we use that work regardless of industry trends and economic trends and so on. The reason I share that is because you actually have a way to get your eyes on people's businesses. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think that the easiest way to kind of get my eyes on your business is to step in and take the assessment that we have. So we have a really simple assessment. It has 5 questions in 5 different areas. They're yes or no questions. Just go with your gut. Should take you no more than 7 minutes to go through the whole thing. And just answer it. That would actually tell you exactly where your capacity blocks are in your business and where you need to focus your attention the most. Now, this is one of the greatest gifts you can have if you're really looking to grow your business and you feel like you're a little stagnant, it's not really happening, you've been at a certain level, or even if your business is growing, but you as a CEO is just not, your pay, your own pay hasn't increased any. For example, any of those things, if that starts happening, or you don't have enough leads, you don't feel like you have enough visibility, you're still the best kept secret, or, you're feeling tapped out, you need to be freed up to really focus on the important things in your business, or you step into your zone of genius, or, you're feeling that the business is disorganized and things are falling through the cracks, all of those things, if you can step in, take that quick assessment, very quickly, we will be able to see exactly where you need to focus your attention. And once you start knowing that, then, you can always book a call with me. We can deep dive even deeper into it and have a little quick chat and really identify and prioritize how to really put the systems in place and the building blocks in place to scale rapidly. And then you can pick and choose. You can do one now, you can do all of them, you can do 2 steps this year, 3 steps next year. You really get to pick and choose. We have a lot of different options to step in and working with us. You can do like the whole cadoodle, start from the beginning, A to Z, and we do the whole thing for you and step in with project managers and me as a strategic partner, and also really helping with the installation team to get everything done. Or you can do, hey, I want to focus on lead gen, or I want to focus on building out the operations of the business to get things more organized. Or you can choose to step in and really, get more hands on deck. So we have a very strategic way of building out teams that's incredibly affordable. Small businesses tend to spend the majority of their payroll, of the revenue on payroll. And I've been building teams in the Philippines, and we hire full stack IT professionals. We replace 6-figure salaries with, quite like 20% of that salary with incredibly capable people that are having a tremendous win working for the US companies because they get to be home with their families and get a lot of freedoms that they're looking for as well, working from home and at a very good salary with the living standard where they are at. And really being able to tap into that. We give away some of our portion of our money to do microloans for women in the Philippines so they can start their own businesses and be self-sufficient. That's part of our profit goes for the hiring process. But we are amazing at finding you top-notch talent, project managers, operations managers, social media managers, bookkeepers, financial experts, all kinds of people that you may need in your business that you may never have thought to look overseas for. We can fill those positions for you with people that were going to blow your mind. So we do that. And so take the assessment first, get started there, figure out kind of what's going on. And then if you feel that you want to connect, book the call. That's a link right there on the results page. You can book a call with me. We'll have a chat and really help you prioritize and get clear of exactly how to solve those capacity blocks in your business.
I will, just to be clear to everyone, this is a complimentary assessment. So this is a big deal to be able to do the assessment and then have a follow-up call with Madeleine so she can guide you even more on how to support you and whether or not you step in. Like I'm obviously biased, and that goes without saying because Madeleine and I are very close. But I will say objectively that having done with you, once you get to a certain level of business, having done with you and done for you as a visionary is a total game changer, because you're just not going to have the energy and the bandwidth to do this and know someone else is taking care of that stuff and only bringing in top-notch people into your company or strategies or, you know, whatever is going to happen is a big deal. So without leaving people stranded, because people are going to be like, where do I do this? And of course, we're going to put it in the show notes. Our team will do that for you wherever you're listening or watching. But if you can also give us the link or call out the information of where people can go, that would be great.
Yeah, so the best place to go is just jumping onto our website. It's Seven Figure Freedom Club, and then just click on the assessment at the very bottom of the page.
sevenfigurefreedomclub.com, and then the assessment is at the bottom of the page when you go on that site, and it will you'll complete some questions, it'll give you your results, and then there'll be a link to apply for a call with you and be able to book that.
Yes, exactly.
And I know the assessment, I know when you're chatting with people, you go even deeper, right? But this is a big deal. And naturally, if you're not even remotely in a place to scale and you still have a lot of room for growth, it might be, you know, better for you to wait until you have some of these symptoms that we've talked about. I don't want to turn people away, of course, but knowing that you're probably going to have a lot of people knocking on your door, it's going to make a lot more sense when you're having some of these growing pains that are indicators that it's probably time to get out of growth phase and into scale phase. So Madeleine, thank you. We could talk all day, but as I mentioned, Madeleine is going to be our preferred partner. We're going to have all of her details on our website. She's an official sponsor of the Podcast Connector podcast, of the Podcast Connector in general. She is a very cherished, preferred vendor in the category of rapid scaling, and we couldn't be more honored to have you be in that role with us. So thank you, Madeleine. Thanks to all of you for listening. We definitely want to hear from you. What, if anything, are you taking away from this? What are you noodling? Where are you already thinking about the opportunities? And if and when you connect with Madeleine, come back and let us know what insights you gleaned and where you're focusing next. We definitely want to support mission-driven entrepreneurs. So between now and then, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. Please share with people that you think would benefit, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.